Okay, here are questions 31 through 40 of the math. So we have two similar triangles. We have triangle ABC and DEF. Angle ABC corresponds to DEF respectively. So in other words, if I'm going to draw these, here's A, B, C, and here is D, E, F, and it tells us that AB is 10, BC is 12, and AC is 15, and that DF is 12. This one is 12. And we're trying to find this distance here. So we set up two ratios. This corresponds to this corresponds to that. So I have x over 10 equals 12 over 15. Okay, the smaller numbers on top, bigger numbers on bottom for each corresponding part. So then we cross multiply, and I get 15x equals 120, and divide both sides by 15, and x is going to equal 8. X equals 8. All right, so let's look at question 32. Question 32 says, Raphael has created a box, L inches long, W inches wide, 8 inches high. He tied a rope around him. Okay, hang on just a second. I never told you that answer then is A, 8. Sorry. Okay, so we take this one. We want to know how many inches of rope he has. Let's use 6 inches for the bow. So we've got a plus 6 out here added to something. Well, let's look at it. There's 1, 2, 3 on this side, 4 on this side that we can't see. There's 4 heights. Okay? And then we look. This is our length. There's only 2 L's. So that's plus 2L. Plus, and then there's 2 widths. Okay, here and on the bottom. So that's 2 W's. So there's our look, 4H, 2L, 2W, and a 6. Okay, everything seems to start. Let's find the 4H. Here's the only 4H, so then H has to be my problem. 2 times the length plus 2 times the width, 4 height plus 6. Okay. All right, then on question 33, we have a piece of chocolate candy enclosing an almond, and it tells us that the rectangular mold is 4 by 3 by 2. The volume, okay, so the volume of the mold is 4 times 3 times 2, which is 24 cubic centimeters. Because that's 12 times 2 is 24. If the volume of the almond is 2 cubic centimeters, what's the maximum volume of the chocolate? Well, so we just take 24 minus 2 centimeters squared, and then that answer is D, 22. Hope that made sense. Okay, number 34. An automobile tank is 3/8 full. After 6 gallons are added, it is now 3/4 full. Okay, so the difference between these two is going to tell me what part of the gas tank is 6 gallons. So I take 3/4 minus 3/8. You can do this on your calculator by simply, if you've got a calculator, go divided by 4 minus 3 divided by 8, enter. So then when you get that, it gives you the decimal. You can go math, enter, enter, enter. That changes it to a fraction. So that equals 3/8. You could have done this, common denominator is 6 is 8. So that minus that, you still get 3/8. So whether you use the calculator or your math brain, it doesn't matter. So 3/8 of a tank of full equals 6. So I take 6 divided by 3/8 to figure out the total size of the tank. So 6 divided by 3/8, and again, I can fall back on the calculator. Can say 6 divided by 3 divided by 8, or we could have used 0.375, and that tells us 16. So there's 16 gallons in a tank, and then we multiply 16 times $1.50. Okay, so 16 times $1.05 is 24. So the answer to 34 is K. All right, so far so good? Okay, 35. In a certain town, what's this say? In a certain triangle, has an area of 12 square inches, has an altitude 2/3 the length of its corresponding base. Ooh, a little bit tougher question. What is the length of the base in inches? So here we go. Let's look at this way. We know the area of a triangle is base times height divided by 2. Well, it tells us that the area is 12 equals base times height divided by 2. But they tell us that the altitude, the height, is 2/3 of the base. So h equals 2/3 b. So I'm going to substitute that in for h. Okay, first I'm going to go ahead and multiply 2 times 12 gives me 24 when we're solving for this. And then I have b times 2/3 the base. Well, that's 2/3 b squared. 24 equals 2/3 b squared. Divide both sides by 2/3. So that's 36 equals b squared. Well, what do you square to get 36? But obviously, answer C, 6. All right, so question 36. A circle is tangent to the x and y axis. Okay, tangent means it touches it in one point. So I'm going to draw an x and y axis. I'm going to draw a circle. Ooh, it's an ugly circle. Oh, golly, that's ugly. It doesn't matter. But it tells us that the area of the circle is 64 pi. Well, the square root of 64 is 8. So the radius from here to here and here, this is 8 and this is 8. Looks like some kind of bird or something. Man, Pruitt, that's horrible. So it wants to know what are the coordinates of the point where it touches the y-axis, or where it touches the y-axis. This is going to x is 0. That's 8. So that is answer G. That is answer G. Wow, that's an ugly circle. I apologize. I'll do better next time. Okay, the probability distribution of both values of a random variable given in the table below. Okay, so we use these to create a problem where x is going to equal 20. So 20 equals 12 times 1/3 plus k times 2/3. Okay, this times this and this times this tell me the expected value. Okay, that's also another way of finding the average. And so 1/3 of 12 is 4. 12 divided by 3 is 4 plus 2/3 k. Subtract 4, I get 16 equals 2/3 k. Okay, then I take 16 divided by 2/3. That equals 24. Well, I like this answer a lot. So k equals 24. This answer here. Some people would say, okay, no, I'm not even going to go there. So that answer is D. All right, so for the next one, it says for all values of x, if any, is negative the opposite of the opposite value of the absolute value of the opposite of x less than 0. Well, the absolute value of any number is always positive. It's always positive. So it wants anything that's true. So no matter what number we plug in there, we're going to get a positive number, and then we take the opposite of it, whatever this value was, and it's going to make it less than 0, except if x equals 0. X cannot equal 0, and so that's the only place. So that answer is J for all real numbers except 0. So it's all real numbers, any number we can think of. Okay, 39. Boy, this is the one that's going to take you some time to do. Here's f of x, here's g of x. They want to know what's the value of g of f of 5 of x. So in other words, we're first going to find f of 5x, which means we're going to substitute 5x in for x on f. So that's going to equal 10x minus 1. Now we're going to take this and substitute it in for this x. Okay, so it's going to look like this. 3 times 10x minus 1 squared minus 7. Okay, when we square this, it's FOIL. Don't distribute this yet. We got to do this first. Exponents before we multiply. So this becomes 3 times 100x squared minus 20x plus 1 minus 7. Okay, now we use the distributive property, and 3 times this is 300x squared. But I want you to notice something. Look over here. There's only one answer with a 300x squared, because that's the only x squared in the problem. So this has to be my answer, and it is. So when you're doing a multiple choice time question, don't have to work the entire problem. We did what we needed to and got that answer. Okay, an investment doubles in worth every 7 years. The worth of this investment was $24,000 exactly 21 years after the investment was made. The worth of the investment exactly 8 years after the investment was made was between. Okay, so we go backwards with this. We take half of 24, we get 12. We take half of 12, we get 6. So knowing those numbers, because we're going backwards exactly after 8 years, so it's somewhere, but if it doubles every 7, somewhere between the 7th and 14th years, the years that it doubled. So it's going to be somewhere, it's going to be greater than 6, but less than 9. So there's that number. If you think about it, if we are reducing it each time, so after 14 years, there was $12,000, and after 7 years, there was $6,000. So somewhere along the way, it's going to be somewhere between $6,000 and $9,000. Okay, there are those. If you have any questions, please feel free to stop by and talk with me.